Let's get started with Excel Grader Project 1 for CSC 101. This is Professor Rob Sheftel. So we're going to start off by getting into My IT Lab. And I want you to open up the assignment. And in the assignment, you'll notice three major areas. The simulation training, we're not doing that in this one. The one we are working on in this video is the Grader Project for Excel Chapter 1. And also, please note, we have the Grader Project. We actually have the capstone exercise. This is the solution. And what's nice about this, and I'll show it to you, you can see the final product of what it should look like. So when you have any questions on if you've done something right, does it look right, use this, print it off, and use this solution guide to your advantage. It's going to help immensely, especially when working in Excel. After you open the PDF showing the solution, move into the Grader project itself, and starting with our first step, we download. I'm going to download all files. It becomes a zip file, which is all of those files are in one folder. So I'm going to open this up, and what you're going to see is that it's in my downloads. It says downloads right here. It's always going to be in your downloads in this area. Okay. Next up, we're going to open up each one of the files. So let's do that. Double click on this, and the information will come up. The instructions will also come up. And again, every week I'll say it. I just want you to be able to print these instructions off for yourself. It's going to be a lot easier. So print them off and follow those instructions. For step 1, here we go. Let's go with the project description first. You're a division manager for a regional hearing aid company in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Your sales manager travels frequently to some of the offices in the western region. You need to create a travel expense report for your managers to use to record their budgeted and actual expenses for their travel reports. The draft report contains a title, input areas, and a detailed expense area. So for this purpose of grading the project, you're required to perform these tasks. So step 1, which we've already done, is to download the Excel file, and it's named EO Grader H1. Next, we're going to get to step 2, where we merge and center the travel expense report title in the range of A1 to E1. We're going to click on A1, and we're going to move our cursor all the way over to E1, and what it says is to merge and center. It's a very common thing that is used in Excel. It's under the Home tab, merge and center. That completes 2. We'll move on to number 3. And the third question, in cell 5, enter a formula that calculates the number of days between the return date and the departure date. So we're going to go into E5. I'm going to do an equal sign, and I'm going to select the date that I'm going to work with, and I'm going to subtract that from the other date, and I should get 4. And that completes number 3. Number 4, in B12, enter a formula to calculate the amount budgeted for mileage to and from the airport. The amount is based on the mileage rate to from the airport, and the round trip miles to airport is located in the standard input section. So here's the standard input section. Here's information for you. Here is the rate, the mileage rate, and here's the number of miles. So what they're asking is to put this all combined, and you multiply this in B12. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put an equal sign, which you always do, and then I'm going to say 60 cents per mile times the 20, And what's that going to show us is this is what's budgeted, is 12. It'll be $12 eventually, but right now this is correct. Number 5. This is a big one, but don't get confused with this. We're going to use the airport daily parking rate. Again, this is under the standard inputs. It's $9. Here's what's interesting. It says use the number of nights plus 1 in your formula. We know that it's 4 nights, but they're asking for a plus 1. So you got to include this in this example. So I'm going to go into airport parking, and I've already written out this. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, which is, I'm going to do it for you. I did an equal sign, and I'm going to write it out again. So I'm going to go, this equals the number of nights plus 1. And in this formula, we have to bracket. That means it needs to add these up, and then we can multiply this number times the parking rate. We should see 45. That concludes step 5. Number 6. This is a big one, so you're going to have to take a little more time with number 6. So it says in cell B17, which I have right here, B17, you'll enter a formula to calculate the amount budgeted for hotel accommodations. The amount is based on the number of nights, which is 4, and you also have to have the number of the hotel rate for the night, which is $149, and then in parentheses you have to add the hotel tax rate to 1 to equal 118% before you multiply. So what does that look like? I have created a formula for you already right here, and what it is that we are actually take net 1, we're putting a 1 into parentheses, plus the E7, which is the 18%. This in itself will create that 118%. Then you multiply this by the number of nights, and then the number of nights, the rate for number of nights. Put it all together. This is what it's going to look like. It should say $703.28. That concludes number 6. This is a more difficult one to work on. So if you have issues, realize that this is a harder one, but keep on trying and use all your resources. Try to find other videos. If this is an issue, work with somebody, but you can accomplish it. The number should be $703.28. For number 7, we're going to go to B18. So that's B18. We're going to enter a formula to calculate the amount budgeted for meals. This amount is based on the daily meal allowance and the total travel days. That's the number of days plus 1. So let's take a look at what we have to do. Let's go to the daily meals allowance, which is going to be under the standard input right here. So I'm going to do equals the daily meal, and then I'm going to write out the whole formula so you can see it. And what you're seeing is the B3, I'm saying the daily meals times the E5. You see this E5 happens to be the number 4, and it's plus 1. So in total, this will add up to 5 days. Then it's multiplied by this area, which is $65 in B3. The number we should see is 325 once I hit enter. There it is. We have concluded step 7. Now over to number 8. Number 8, we're looking at D12 is our cell. So look at D and then the 12. It's right here. In D12, what we're going to do now is we're going to actually calculate the difference between actual and budget. So let's do that. What I'm writing in here is this number, the actual, subtract it from the budget, and here's what we have. In order to do that, again, we'll do an equals this number, which is the actual, minus or subtract this number. What's the difference? It shows 0. The next part of the step is that we have to copy this formula to the range below it, which is the D13 to D19. We can copy that and then paste it again, paste it, all the way down till you get to 19, D19. Don't worry about the formatting just yet. This is correct. If you look on the sheet, we should be minus $4.25 and then plus $59.20. This will be converted into a new look in the following steps. Let's move on to the next part of. The next part says, if the actual expense is more than the budget expense, the result is positive. If the actual expense is less than the budget expenses, the result is negative. So this is what you're seeing here in 8. Now we're going to move on to number 9. Number 8, what we're going to do is find E12, E and then 12. Right, here we go. And what this simply says is that we're going to enter a formula to create the percent of budget by dividing the actual expense by the budget expense to indicate the percent of the budgeted amount used in this category. So let's do that. So I'm going to do an equal sign. I'm going to the actual expense and I'm going to divide by the budget. I'm going to hit enter and there we are. They also said that you need to make a copy of this, which I will, and I need to move this to E13, E14. I'm going to copy here to 16, E17, 18, and 19. Again, the formatting will change, but this is what a percentage will look like. Eventually, the format will look a lot cleaner. That concludes the first part of 9. Now the last element says delete the formula in cell E15, which is right here. Vote in E15, I'll just hit delete. We're good. That concludes 9. Number 10, insert a new row, 19. Type other in cell A19. Bold the label, delete the formula in cell E19. So let's start with the first step. Insert a new row. We're going to do that by going into number 19, and we're going to right click and do an insert. When we're done with that, we've already have that set. We're going to type in other. Okay, and we have to make this bold. So do this bold. Now it's done, that part, and now we're going to delete the formula in E19. See that? Hit delete. That concludes step 10. Number 11, it's very simple. This is a good one. We're going to indent. So indent twice the labels in these ranges, which is the first grouping would be A12 to A14. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do my indent. I'm going to increase the indent by 2. 1, 2. I just did that. Now I'm going to go to 16 and 18. Right here, 16 and 18. I'm going to do it twice. 1, 2. Now I'm going to go to A20 right here. I'm going to indent it again. 1, 2. That concludes number 11. Okay, next step. We're going to apply, and this is number 12, apply a counting number format to the ranges, which I'm going to say it is a range B12 over to D12, and then we bring it all the way down to D21. And what it says is a counting format. So the formats are listed under the numbers, and I'm going to an accounting format. There it is. That concludes 12. On to 13. In number 13, we're going to apply a comma style to the range B13. Let's do that. B13 to D20. So we'll go down to D20. And it says apply a comma style to the range of B13 to D20. And a comma style. This is a comma style. Notice that it changed dramatically by simply pressing that button. So now we are done with step 13 on to 14. We're going to apply a percent style with 1 decimal place. The range is E12 to E20. So let's do the E12, which we're going to go to E, and we're going to 12, and then we're going to go down to E20, and it says apply the percent style, which is right here, percent style for 1 decimal, and that completes this area. Next part of this mini section would be to have this highlighted, and we have to have 1 decimal place. So what that means, you come over to increase or decrease decimal points. So I'm going to increase it, or excuse me, decrease it. Oops, my apologies. Increase it. So now if you look on the sheet that shows you the solution, you'll notice that 100% is correct, 90.6% is correct, 112.5%, all that should show on that solution guide. So we've completed step 14. Now we're going on to 15. We're now working on the style. Ensure the comma style for number 15 is applied to B20 to D20. So let's look at B20 to D20. Comma style is all set. I'll just double check. I'll click on it. In addition to it, it says use the underline button to underline the ranges from B20 to D20. Do not use the border feature. So we want to use the underline, which is simply the text. See this? Underline. Click on it. That now completes this section. We're going to number 16. Number 16, apply the cell style bad to D21. So here's D, here's 21. Okay, hit that. And then it says we're going to hit a certain style, and that's going to be bad. By clicking the styles, you'll see all of them, the good, bad, you got the customs, but we're going directly to bad. Here it is. And that's because the trip went over budget. Now on to 17, we're going to select the range A10. I'm going to go up to A10 here. And from A10 to E21. So I'll pull down to E21 right here. And it says apply a thick outside border. So I'm going to go under borders. It's under the font area. And I'm going to do a thick outside border, or thick outside borders. That completes number 17. We're going to move on to number 18. Number 18, select the range A10. Now here's A10, and bring it over to E10, and it says apply a blue-gray text to. So what would that mean? So we're going to do a blue-gray text to. By highlighting this, you want to select and look around and let this arrow hover, and you can see what it's going to be, which is this is blue-gray, and I happen to have selected the wrong one, which is lighter 40. This is lighter 60, and this happens to be what we're looking for. It's lighter 80, blue-gray text 2. I'm going to apply that, and then it says I must add or apply an alignment, which is a center alignment. In addition, I will do a text wrap. That completes this section. We're going to move on to number 19. Number 19 is set a 1.5 inch top margin and select the margin setting to center the data horizontally on the page. Now that's something that we would go to a page layout for, which I have up here, and I will do a custom margins under the page layout. It says on the top margin is 1.5, so I'm just going to do that as 1.5 for my top margin, and then I'm going to select the margin setting, which is down here on the page, to horizontal. I've completed that. Number 19 is complete. I'll hit OK. And now I'm going to number 20. Number 20, we're going to insert a footer. So the first thing people do, including myself, is you look at the insert. Notice that you have a variety of options here. But you go under the text, and you see the header and footer. And in this case, we're looking for not a header, but a footer. So I need to back up for a second. Go down to the footer. And in this footer, the first thing it asks for is to put in, on the left side, exploring series. In the middle, it's going to ask for the sheet name code, So I'm going to insert the sheet name code under design, that is, the sheet name code right there. After that, and the last part is that we're going to enter the file name code on the right side. File name code, file name. That completes number 20. I will now do 21, which is I'm going to save this. I'm going to save. And I need to save it under an area that I can pull from. So I have my OneDrive account in CSC 101. My OneDrive account, you can use your account the way you want it. I'm going to save it. And I want to say yes. That completes this. I'm going to now put in for my grade, and we'll see where and what grade I receive and how many points I receive. And once I have this, I'm completed with the entire project. Okay, now we're going to finish this up. We're done. I'm going to choose my file. I'm going to find my grader. It's Excel. I know where it's located, that's why I'm fast with this. However, if you're struggling to find where things are, try to find a file or put it on your desktop, but somewhere where you can easily access this information that you've saved. So I'm going to open, I'm going to upload, got it, I'm going to submit for grading, and it says, kudos, your file has been submitted for grading. I'm going to close the assignment. Looks like I passed, and now I'm going to go take a look at. I know that I put in a couple submissions just in case, and I got 100%. Good luck with everything. We'll see you in class.